So I remember sitting in the stands at the first wave when you spoke from stage after just releasing your book, Talking to Yourself is Not Crazy. And Reggie Gold came on. I can't remember if he was before or after you, but he said one of the crown jewels or achievements in his career as a chiropractor was sending 156 people to chiropractic school. And I thought that was a really interesting metric at the time, especially because I was already really interested in sending more people to chiropractic school, because being from upstate New York, I didn't really go to the chiropractor growing up. I was a college athlete studying personal training and massage on the side. And it was never even on my radar. And the one chiropractor that I asked when I was a senior in college, should I become a chiropractor? He said, definitely not. And he had his own reasons. But the point is, I eventually stepped foot in the right chiropractic office, didn't give up on the possibility. And it's still to this day burning within me to expose more people to this possibility within themselves. So I just share that. Yeah.
So, Reggie and I, of course, Reggie, I, and Fred Barge. Do you know the name? Fred Barge? Okay, so outstanding chiropractor and chiropractic philosopher. We received the last three on the same day PhD degrees, philosophy of chiropractic, and then they took it away. There's no more. So I just saw Irene Gold the other day here in Florida teaching her class. 12 years old, looks good, still teaching how to get past part 4. But every prospective student, I would send up to their house, sat in the living room with 25, 30 kids. About you could be a chiropractor. Does this
Shit. We're getting a little bit more malfunction with your mic. Did you just get a text message or a phone call or no?
Oh.
I hear you now, but there was a couple of moments in that last sentence that had me wondering why I couldn't hear you.
Not touching anything.
Well, you were saying that you would send people up to their house to have a heart-to-heart with Reggie and Irene about whether this was truly what they wanted to do.
Circle. There's too many people for chairs in his living room, right? And just talk chiropractic. He would not pitch them or sell them on anything. This is something that you have to be drawn to, was his approach. If it sounds good, then go explore it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just my own limited perception of what's possible for the profession. But historically, people have said you're attracted. Chiropractic calls you. It's a calling, and I agree with that. And I think that if we're being honest with ourselves, taking a genuine interest in the prospective student and caring enough to realize that if you just do what every other chiropractic student does, most likely you're gonna either be a little lost, or you're not gonna be on firm ground. You're not gonna have that clarity and certainty within. And so my philosophy is that if we start sooner on, if we extend the runway, and before they even get to chiropractic school, they're really focusing their efforts on the chiropractic philosophy and studying like in-depth chiropractic, going to many, many offices before they get to chiropractic school. It doesn't matter as much what chiropractic school they go to, because they will already have been on the path for years to becoming a chiropractor. And so they'll be able to see through the BS of like, what is chiropractic, what isn't chiropractic. And it's less about chiropractic calls you and more that chiropractic was on the radar because somebody mentioned it to you and you did your own research to realize, hey, this is the best path for me. What do you think about that?
I have to disagree with you on a part. What you say, what you just said, I wish was true. But the fact is that of the 19 chiropractic colleges in the country, the amount of success that they have in many cases is due to the school that they went to. Where did you go?
I'm with you 100%. I started at Western States and then I transferred to Life West.
Okay, so difference.
But that was part of the inspiration for this project, of realizing that depending on what school you go to, it could dramatically change the experience you have as a chiropractic student, what you're exposed to. I mean, there was no green books, there was no even talk of chiropractic on the initial school I went to, and I chose that for location.
The average PVA, patient visit average, how long a patient stays with you in a lifetime as a chiropractic patient in Western states was under 14. Now, I haven't done this for years. When I was doing the master circle, we had thousands of people in our computers, 14 visits. So let's say you have four, that's acute care. That you get out of pain, stick your head in the oven, press the button, and it's done. You're supposed to be cooked. Then you go up to Life, where I went, and I taught there for a while with Jerry Clum, right? And I've been there many times in Life West and Life East, and I've lectured in every school almost in the country. But if you go to, and I'm not knocking it, if you belong at a Western States or an old national college, they're not called these things anymore. But if you went there, I was lecturing chiropractic. There's a true story at National, which is in Chicago, and I was lecturing about chiropractic. And then the president of the school was lecturing that don't be fooled by people wearing tassel on their shoes and suits and teaching you chiropractic and this, you're going to make a lot of money. And he was talking to me, and I was the next speaker. So when I got up, they took me off the stage and never allowed me back because I was saying, what is it with this 10 visits? What is 10 what I couldn't understand. There was no purpose, no realizing, no intent. So the school does have a lot to do it. So when I go and take a student and say, go piggyback, I send them to my son if he's right here, right? And they watch 250 people a day. That's four chiropractors, but they watch 250 people a day, be educated as to what chiropractor is, and watch their diets and things natural and of that age. And I'm not saying don't use technology. It's none of my business. I don't care. But have the headset, the mindset, I should say, not the headset, but the mindset that chiropractic is a separate and distinct type of healing, much like an orthopedist is different from a podiatrist. Different. So if you're willing to be different and natural and holistic and help people and with your hands and other equipment as a side, then you might want to see. So I'm very careful where I send them. Because I heard yesterday in a conversation, if you go to a chiropractor and they tell you need more than 12 visits, I said, so I named the college. She said yes, because they're taught that, but it's not true. It's not accurate. So even if a patient goes once a month for a wellness program, which I think it's all about. I don't care. Acute care, get you out of pain as soon as possible. Wellness, move the spine in the right directions and free the nerves, and then keep it that way. So the 3 phases of care. The keep it that way is the problem with the profession. And I don't like to be negative on anything like this, but this profession is not going in the right direction, in my opinion. So it's up to people like you, which you are doing, is to keep that fire alive. And there are plenty of people like you.
Mm-hmm. And there are. And I want to say, go ahead.
I just saw one of my best clients for years. His name is, I just forgot his name, slipped that, from Delaware. He was a national graduate. And practiced like that, came to our program. We lit him up a little bit. He lit himself up, and he went from failing to 400 patients a week in a practice. But he's still a chiropractor, same degree, same location, different person at the helm. A believer in what you do. It's just, it's like a baseball player. If you get on the mound, you say, oops, that's Nolan Ryan, I'm not going to hit him, you diminish your chances, right? But if you say, I love this healing art and it helps people and I'm contributing to their wellness and their well-being, well, a different result is going to come.
Absolutely, 110%. So just to build context for you, I'm proposing an 8-stage pre-chiropractic program to be rolled out in different colleges around the world and undergraduate institutions. And I'm wondering if we could stay with stage 2 for a moment. So stage 1 is the foundations. What is chiropractic? Let's go deep with it. Let's explore why people become chiropractors and why chiropractic is so vital for the human race. And then stage 2, I broke Nate up into your inner state, and it's your inner scientist, thinker, artist, teacher, entrepreneur. So becoming an uninhibited thinker, becoming a chiropractic artist. If you could kind of just lay out how you help people develop skills through the Master Circle or through the Markson connection or throughout the years, how you've trained chiropractors or how your son is doing with Chiro Destiny, like what are the skill sets that people have to develop within themselves to become excellent, successful, busy chiropractors?
Well, you know what? I have behind me a couple of textbooks that are that thick, but it's not about that. So I'm going to say the difference is we work on the person. So technically, what do? Every chiropractor and their staff does an affirmation every single day. They start their day in the clinic with an affirmation. It's like getting in a huddle. And then they run to their separate position. Same thing. I am a healthy, vital, active, and successful human being. I affirm this day that all tissues and organs in my body are functioning perfectly, and that is the way it's supposed to be. So that's not the end, but that's the way we teach them. We give them that. There's other ones, because after all, you get bored with the same one. Building ourselves up in strong and noble thought because we have to fight before they drag us down. So we start with an affirmation. We teach people how to get rid of the tension or fears, or we go from generosity. We talk about forgiveness in their life, a spouse, a divorce, a parent that was not the best in the world, all life. We start to wash these things around and leave room for giving and loving and consult, and that changes the personality. We talk about being on time. Do whatever you say. If you say you're going to cross the street when the light turns green, cross the freaking street. And so you train yourself to succeed. If you say I'm going to be at 5 o'clock, you said 5 o'clock. I was here, but I didn't realize you're Pacific time and I'm Eastern time, so that didn't work out so good. But let's say we're in the same time. You said 5 o'clock. Don't keep me till 5:20 because I'm not going to be here, or I'll get frustrated. So do what you say, right? Neat. Everything is in its place. Everything has its place. We don't have in our office all stickums. So a neat and logical person, and I'm not neurotic. So, but if a person walks into your office and they see your CA and they're sitting there and it was not quite as neat or modern as it should be, and she didn't have a big smile on her face and a warm greeting, you don't realize you're losing the patient before you even get to start. So what I do is I think if you build a human being, right, that has all these component parts, and that human being has to have a skill that was taught, which is chiropractic, you put them together, you have a successful human being that, one, is successful, but two, is happy and healthy in their life.
And so the stage 3 is after they've gone through and learned about the different skill sets that you were just describing there, they go out and actually gain experience in chiropractic practices, observing different practices. I'm curious if you were giving them like a recommendation on what to observe, what types of questions to ask, what types of practices to look for so that they're ensuring that they get into a practice that's vibrant and healthy and exciting. How can we help increase the probability that a pre-chiropractic student is going to contact the right office, and when they go to that office, they're going to have a series of questions that they ask of the chiropractor or just ask of themselves as they're observing the chiropractor?
You know what? You're way ahead of the rest of the world, so I have to back it up a little. I'm not as smart as you. It's very hard. What question do you ask? So I look at what my eye environment they're in. I look at the staff, how they're dressed, how neat they are, what they say, how they greeted me, how I was treated, my first initial impression of the doctor. Is he or she sloppy, leaning back, uninterested, talking too fast, using big doctor words to impress me, or are they real good human beings? I would find out, look at how many chairs are in the reception room. If there's 2, you're in trouble. It's not because they can't afford more, because no one's going to fill them up, right? And you can ask questions: how long you're in practice? What is your best feeling as a chiropractor? What do you like to do the most? You like to take X-rays the most? You like to adjust people the most? You like to put them on diets? Whatever. What do you like about chiropractic? How many patients do you see a week? And what kind of visitations? I hear that once you go to a chiropractor, right, you can never stop. So I say that's Shay. Ooh, I wish that was true, but it's not true. You only go to a chiropractor as long as you want to get healthy and stay healthy as much as the body. So we have chances, questions like that. Another question. The question is always, how many visits do I need and how much it costs? Right. So the more you can give the person the value of chiropractic, the more the financial picture changes in their head. It becomes more important versus, oh, I have to go bowling on Wednesday night. So the question that, how long do you, to the front desk, how do you work here? What kind of man or woman are you working for? Do they care, or am I just not another number? Questions like that, like everybody would ask, right? And then say, when you graduate into chiropractic school, what do I do next? So I graduate and I go through school and I pass my exams, okay, and I get a license. What do I do next? Do I open my own office? Do I become an associate doctor? The first thing I say, if you do go to school, be a preceptor. Go to a chiropractic office, get in a and by the way, there's a big need for preceptors now and associate doctors. There are people out there charging thousands upon dollars to get associate doctors because they need help, and you can't get those doctors. So the question that it is, for me, it's not a left brain check, 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 check. It's, how did I feel? How was I received? What am I seeing around? So my mother, who's long gone, I sent her to a chiropractor in Florida when I was still in New York to remain under chiropractic care. By the way, she lived to 99 and a half. So she did pretty good. And so she and my father moved into an apartment here in Florida and didn't have a lot of money, right? And they would pretty soon after that, I sent them to a chiropractor who I loved and is a friend of mine. And she said, calls me up and says, I'm not going back. And I said, why? She said two things. One, the headrest paper basket in the office was overflowing. It was on the floor. Two, he took his hands off me and interrupted the adjustment, right, to make a couple of phone calls. So I don't care what that is. I don't have to pay because of me, right? I'm not going to him. Then she went to a chiropractor recommended by a friend who I didn't like. I wouldn't warm up to him if we were cremated together. I just didn't like the guy, right? And he treated my parents beautifully. Couldn't ask for better. As a result, as my mother and father got a van from the little home they in, and they used to drive every Tuesday. Every 40 or 50 people would get in the van and go to see the chiropractor. So that's a belief system. That the word that I left out today is, if you have to have a belief system, that beliefs, we all believe things to be true, but some of those things are not true, but because we believe them to be true, we act on them true, but they're not true. So I'm saying, if you're an intuitive person, you'll know. If you're a left-brain didactic and have to make all the check boxes and you have to ask all your questions, but you got to look between the lines, you'll know. I know the minute I walk into an office, a medical office, a dental office, if it's me or not. That's the best answer I can give you.
No, it was a beautiful answer. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. No, this is why we're having this conversation. I think that hearing you before they've even come up with a belief system about how chiropractic should be practiced, just hearing you like talk about, hey, let's just examine your belief system and identify the things that you believe to be true that might not even be true, and how you're currently acting on potentially a false belief system or something that's not congruent. Can we kind of just shift to, go ahead, sorry. Yep.
I apologize to you too. It's delayed transmission because you're much earlier in hours. People say to you, once you go to a chiropractor, you have to go to the rest of your life. They say, oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm happy. Most people that stay here, so you say that, want to stay here because they come sick, they become well, and they want to maintain their health. There's no chains on the door. You only stay if you want to stay. So that's not true. It's just not true, and it's not true. It's not true that chiropractors crack your neck. It's a specific skill of chiropractic adjustments that's trained and trained like a surgeon is trained, like anyone. We are trained in the art of chiropractic adjustment. It is not manipulation because that's what the medical world says, but we're not in the medical world. There's a reason for everything we do, and it doesn't break any natural laws. So for every question they have, I have an answer, and I have my doctors in my program who pay a lot of money. They can answer every question. So when I coach someone like I coach now, in my last career, I'm coaching people on Zoom, right? How come since COVID, that's what I'm doing because there's no more seminars or traveling, and I'm 82 years old. So where am I going? So I'm sitting home and I'm talking to them. And as I'm talking to them, how come I'm going to say 80% of the people grow more than 30 or 40%? And all we're doing is talking. Just like you and I, but over and over in different aspects of it. How long does it take you to do a consultation? Do you do a thorough examination? How is your report of findings? Is it accurate? Did you prepare? Did you really read the x-rays? Do you know what you're doing? And do you have a plan for talking to this person in the same cadence as they are? So if I speak, I'm a rapid speaker, and you talk to me like that, we can't communicate. So if I get a patient like that, they're not dumb. That's their personality. I just slow it down. Because that's how they hear things. So when you learn about people and you learn about yourself, it's a growth thing. I don't know, and I don't want you to reveal, but I would say that from your belief system, you're telling me, one, you like chiropractic, you love it. Two, you're happy you're a chiropractor. Three, you're good at what you do. And four, you see a future in this world of chiropractic becoming more prominent. But it won't be more prominent if people are in there just to make money and bill insurance companies because the insurance is going away.
Yeah, it's been gone for a while. Actually, when I was in school, Obamacare was like really cutting the legs out. From what I knew, I never knew insurance as a chiropractor, but it was a common message that people were saying, reduce your dependency on insurance. Don't be insurance dependent. Don't take health insurance. Health insurance is not the way to go while I was a student. So I kept hearing that message, and I never actually took health insurance ever in the last 11 years of practice. Hey, so stage 4 is starting a pre-chiro club. Students they've gotten kind of the passion for chiropractic. Like you said, they love chiropractic. They're excited. They want to make a difference. They realize there's no presence of chiropractic on their college campus by the guidance counselors, their teachers that are teaching anatomy and not mention chiropractic at all when they go over the nervous system or the spine. And they want to try and establish this presence. Do you have any thoughts or feelings about having these pre-chiropractic clubs sprout up all over college campuses and what that can mean to the trajectory of this next generation to have shared experiences before chiropractic school, studying chiropractic, celebrating chiropractic, having there be like chiropractic science fairs, or utilizing the science labs on college campuses, or getting chiropractors to work with colleges or high schools?
You just said it all. Every one of those things would be wonderful, but I've never seen them happen. What I have seen is a chiropractor like yourself goes to a college campus and forms a club using this student that is articulate and the football cap and someone that could draw a crowd to have, and then I had guest chiropractors or they themselves work on it. So you bring them in, or they get invited to your office. So people we put out to our all patients and on social media for the people who are interested in a career in chiropractic. Come to Dr. Markson's office at 7:00 on Monday and sit down. Let's find out if there's a career in this for you. And you can do that once a month. People do it. I know people that do it. They have, and they also have patients. So in our day, before social media, my patient education was done every Tuesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. And if you were a patient in my office, you had to come, or you couldn't be a patient. So that was the I'm hanging.
Turn that light back on you. The light just went off. That was in your face. I was enjoying that. How did you get that on you before?
Oh, that was my computer.
Oh, that was your computer? I was enjoying that. So I'm with you. I do agree that there needs to be a supporting cast for these students, professional chiropractors that can articulate and communicate the depth and the width of chiropractic. Go ahead.
The kids. You know, my son went to Life, and he said, go to Palmer, because I was a Palmer grad. He says, there's no blondes there and it snows. So he went to Life. And I'm very pleased that he went to Life, because he came out with his education. With what I taught him, he worked with me, and he has an amazing chiropractic office. Amazing. Right. And you'd love it. So any student that wants to come and piggyback around with him for a day takes them all in, one after another. You come Thursday, you take, but he puts them to work there too.
I love it. I love it. Internships. I'm curious. So the MCAT, the LSAT, the GRE, these are tests that other professions have created to create that shiny object that students have something that they're challenged by to work towards when they're in college, that it really is like a competition of who can get the best score on the test, which has nothing to do with anything except for attracting people to start to prepare themselves for test day. I'm curious what we can do in a congruent way for chiropractic to not test students, but to set a standard, a higher bar, for, shall we say, for entrance to chiropractic school that's experience-based, that you said that people will feel it in here. If you have intuition, that you will just know that this is the path for you. Are we asking them to get adjusted a number of times, go into a number of offices? Are we asking them to reflect internally and on paper or through video or through audio what it is that chiropractic means to them and why they want to become chiropractors? But how can we challenge students to really have something to move towards, to prepare and train for, which like gets them excited and helps them feel challenged?
The first thing is, where we go back to what we were talking about. The first thing is, if you have associates, or have you had associates, so you interviewed them, and they wouldn't be a chiropractor. So I look at their grade average. Okay, you passed chemistry. Who cares? You passed anatomy, that you have to know, but you passed, and you have a license, right? So then I make an assumption. If you have a license, you know enough. Now, do I like your personality, the manner in which you speak, your eye contact? Are you willing to get up early and come home later? You're willing to put in the work to learn every aspect now, not in goofing off. Because I don't want to hire you and fire you in 3 weeks. I'm hiring you, and I like you, and you seem good, but we're going to be under a 90-day thing, because I want to see, are you here on time or early? If you're not early, you're late. Do you get along well with the staffs? Are you a copious learner and someone that sticks to it? And 90 days from now, you're going to sit back in this office with me, and I'm going to give you a test. And it's not an anatomy or physiology or pathology test. It's a human being test about the values and purposes of chiropractic that you can share. That's the test. What would you do if? How would you handle this thing? You know, all of that. So, and then ultimately, who do we hire? People we like. I don't hire someone because it's in cosmology. You know what I mean?
No, I'm with you. I love it. I just think that, you know, if we reflect back on the last, I believe it's like 128 years that we've been a profession, an official profession. Never before have we really dedicated any focused energy towards the pre-chiropractic moments, like leading up and cultivating those relationships. So like, if we're being honest with ourselves in present moment and for the last 100 years, only the chiropractic school's admissions department teams are the ones responsible for going out and doing outreach and trying to cultivate and nurture these relationships with people who might want to be chiropractors for their program. So they're working all independently. they're all kind of in competition with each other in a weird way, where they want more enrollment and they have metrics that are being measured based on their performance. And I get all that. But as this being an independent project, an independent organization whose sole focus is to attract the right people, to pre-qualify the right students, as you described, who have the right values and vision for themselves as chiropractors, what could that mean to the profession? How would that shift our profession? Because, bringing the metaphors back, primary subluxation, birth trauma, preconception, conception, these are our pre-chiropractic students. That, to me, is the metaphor for the primary subluxation of our profession. And so if we're adjusting the profession.
In order to fix the problem, you've got to get 20 of you to start it. Not easy, not easy. Because people think, oh, this chiropractor sees 500 people a week. That's what chiropractic is. Not necessarily. It could be their brand of practicing. So the pre-stuff, which there's only 2 or 3 people that I know that even think that way. So you're unique. So guess what? It falls to you. You just got to create. But if you reach enough people the way we're doing tonight, and we're reaching enough people, drip, 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 you get 5 more, you get 10 more, you get 20 more. And the wrong ones will go away and the right ones will stick. I have a great faith in that.
Absolutely. I really appreciate your time today, Dr. Markson. Thank you, Larry, for spending time with any students that will truly appreciate just being able to hear your message and learn from you, because there was so much detail in what you shared tonight. I mean, there's a lot to digest. So if you're a student, maybe watch this a second time, maybe slow it down, rewind the moments that really call to you. Any final messages about chiropractic students, pre-chiropractic students, and the option that or the potential they have?
Well, I don't know if it's a final statement or where to go with that. I can just tell you is from a guy that I was a twin. My twin brother was a chiropractor. After I graduated, he saw what was happening, so he went back to school. He's passed now. But if I have to look back to my life, in those years before I went to chiropractic, I didn't like myself very much. And over the years, I've gained confidence. I've gained the ability to communicate. I've made plenty of money. I live in a house of my dreams and all of that stuff. So I'm going to say I am dead. Listen, I'm 82 years old. I'm talking to you for an hour now. And next week, and then I'm going to the Orlando for 1,000 people to speak at the FCA this September. So why don't I stop working? I don't need to work. Why don't I stop? Because I love every second of it. So my second love is golf, and I still play 4 times a year. I don't hit them so long anymore, but because isn't it great to do something you love and help people at the same time? That's my deal. That's my deal. It's simple, but it's my deal.
And just final question, chiropractic, has it reached its potential yet? And what are we missing? What is the missing link? Because my premise is it's pre-chiropractic. It truly, to me, shifts a lot of different subluxations they're patterns, right? We keep observing the same patterns over and over. We keep asking the same questions over and over. We're not really asking new questions. We're not asking how do we shift those patterns earlier and earlier so that we address the cause, not treat the effects. I feel like, and this is no disrespect, because I know you have a coaching company for years and I know that you coach chiropractors, but to me, the chiropractors are like the effects and the cause is like the chiropractic student, like really early on, who hasn't formed all these bad habits and needs to unlearn all these different things.
There's nothing to say to that, because it's true. Even I'm not dealing with those anyone's, because that's not in my world right now. But it pops up here and there. So I think you're correct. The problem, as I see it with the whole profession, is that in the days when 18 colleges, maybe 3 or 4 teach chiropractic and the rest some kind of chiropractic, and then there's ones that know chiropractic. So how do we get them? We got to get them early and guide them to the right school. If they get to the right school, they come out, they have a good life because that becomes their belief system. Remember, for 4 years, someone's chirping in your head. And if someone's chirping your head, all you do is fix this bone, buy this machine. They need 12 visits and get rid of them because that's what the insurances want, the companies want. I say, to hell with that. What we want is to help get sick people well naturally. So, I mean, to get pre, like you said, I think that you have to form a group in each state, let's say, and get a captain of that group just like you, and having people taught inside their offices, inside homes. They have to get to, but it's not going to be thousands of people. It might be 25 at a time, and then another 25, and those get another 25. It's the only way I see it, because I think the colleges are the problem.
I'm with you. Thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.